Hi, this is Daniel and Ruth, live from Tel Aviv,
Hi.
Israel Uncovered, and today our little filming space it's got a bit artsy and creative because
Got
actually this patio doubles as Ruth's studio.
Yep. And so I've been going a bit wild with my paints this week and my umbrellas. So I thought we'd feature them in our video.
I like it actually. I always like creative spaces, and with splatters of Spain,
Yeah.
like art class is nice.
Yeah. It's glitter and a lot of black paint at the moment.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So, in talking about something not so lovely today,
We are.
unfortunately. So we're going to talk about the hostage crisis and where do we stand, less from like a news standpoint, but how do we feel, about it? And, everyone keeps saying again, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, that they are
Yeah.
released, but everyone's like, is it really close to a deal, etc. Anyway, how do you feel about it, Ruth?
I feel incredibly conflicted and emotional about it. I feel like the country is just in a lot of pain because we are desperate to get our people home. At the same time, negotiating with terrorists is not easy to digest. Put it that way.
Right.
So, yeah, I was very emotional last night. Really, I was sitting on my own for about half an hour, just tears streaming down my face because it is just a very painful time. At the same time, I'm very glad I'm here.
Right. I think for the whole country, it's kind of like the past 15 months have been, in a way, they kind of like, they have the whole country hostage or by the
Yeah,
balls.
they do.
And I know we're not suffering the misery and abuse and torture that the people that are hostage, which, by the way, we don't even know who's alive, who's dead.
No.
I mean, they are terrorists. We know nothing. They refuse to release who's alive, who's dead, and everything has become this macabre show of like, yeah, I'll give you a dead body if you give me this. I'll give you a person if you give me that. It's become like this
the thought
disgusting and inhumane meat market, and it's that's why I think it's very the prospect of a deal for anyone here is very bittersweet and charged with a lot of frustration because, of course, everyone wants to see those people that were yanked out of their beds on a Saturday morning and taken into a Gaza tunnel to be tortured and raped and abused. Everyone wants to see them home, but at the same time, at what cost and to what extent can you sit on a table with someone that tells you repeatedly that their ambition and their intention is to do that to you? Exactly. They want to kill you and me, rape me. Like that's the end game, and that's not something that is not like an imaginary thing. It's not like it's a very real threat for people that say it.
Yeah,
they mean it. They show what they want to do. They're 30 kilometers away. So I think everyone here is like, yes, something needs to be done, and they need to be brought back home. But it's a very lots of mixed emotions here, right?
Yeah, very, and you can feel it.
Yes,
so palpable.
So, do you think he's going to go through this deal?
I think something is going to happen before the 20th, before Trump gets into office. I think something is going to happen. I think it will be significant, but I'm still not sure exactly what that looks like.
Right, I would agree with that. I mean, I agree also that the only reason why there is some glimmer of hope now is because Trump got elected. I mean, love him, hate him, question his policies, I don't care. That is literally the only reason why the terrorists feel under a little bit of pressure.
That is the only reason. I think also something I'm really battling with is this thought of releasing genocidal prisoners and the amount of them back into Gaza.
Yeah. I don't know. Are they going to be released into Gaza? Are they going to be deported?
I don't know. Or to the West Bank.
Or to the, yeah.
They'll either go to Gaza or the West Bank or be deported, but I'm not sure where
Yeah.
deportation would be.
That's what we say. It's very easy for people that don't live here and don't face
and haven't experienced this 15 months.
Of course.
It's just, yeah.
By the way, over 1,000 terrorist attacks from the West Bank were thwarted over the past year. So that is, again, and many did happen. There's been a lot of car rammings.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of
Yeah.
stabbings, shootings, everything.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, cocktail Molotovs at the bus. Like this.
Sorry, what happened?
There were like Molotov cocktails thrown at like a bus in the middle of a motorway yesterday. Nobody was dead or injured, but yeah.
Oh my God,
But again, we live with the threat of terrorism, and it's so palpable here that we know what the consequences of releasing 1,000 terrorists means for our lives, or the danger that it carries. So I think that's...
And at the same time, we need to bring our people home.
Yeah. I mean, my view on that is exactly, I always say, like, semantics matter. So it's kind of like, no, we don't need to bring them home. They need to release them.
They need to release them.
It needs to be unconditional. People are not bargaining chips. And I just think, like, that's why, I've learned over the past 15 months that words matter. And when people say ceasefire, it's dangerous, not because we don't want peace, and everyone here just wants to go back to the daily life. Nobody here wants to live in this horrible war. But when you're calling for ceasefire instead of peace, when you're calling for a deal instead of an unconditional release, when you are pushing your government for it, you're like legitimizing a terrorist organization that wants to do it again, and you're emboldening it. And again, it's not like a theory of what might happen. It's kind of like a very real knowledge that these are the consequences that we're going to have to live with. So that's why I'm very, I'm also like incredibly conflicted. I don't have like, I'm very clear. And that's why people usually, it's like people have fallen for these false narratives. And again, you're going to see how the narrative shifts if this deal goes through. The same people that for the past 15 months have been telling you there's a genocide will tell you that their side has won. And there is no real genocide in history in the world where people are able to negotiate the clause to end it for them.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, it's the same lies as like, oh my God, I miss my Gaza. It was my paradise. It was the most beautiful place in the world. And then 2 days later, it was an open air prison. We're in jail. So you will see the lies shift from black to white. They'll be like, so the same people saying there's a genocide in Gaza, if a deal goes through, saying we won, long live, the resistance, whatever.
Yeah.
Resistance is justified. So just you watch, and I hope people keep their eyes open, and I think people are aware about the misinformation, the manipulation, and the lies, the disgusting lies about, especially about Israel and the demonization. And every time anyone has said, like, used the word like genocide, is with intention to harm and to disrepute a country.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, what person suffering actual genocide gets to negotiate the closest to end it? No, they're not victims. They started the war, and sadly, they will choose when it ends for their people and for the people here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sad, but true.
It is. Yeah. So that's where we are with the hostages. It's just a very difficult time.
Conflicting. I also think.
But I also think the way we kind of crack on with our life as much as we can, with all of this, with this heavy cloud and this heavy weight on us, I think it's amazing, really.
Well, life goes on whether you like it or not, and but I do know people. I know families of hostages. I know friends of hostages. So
Yeah.
It is deeply personal. The
It
fact
is.
that, actually the two boys, they kidnapped a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. Now they're like 2-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they were like sleeping in bed. Saturday morning, they burned the grandparents. They kidnapped the parents with the kids, and
You're talking about the Bieber's.
yeah, and actually,
so Daniel does know, I think, what
yeah, the family. Yeah, the great uncle, and I was chatting to him, and by the way, when there's a deal, they don't know if their family will come back alive or in body bags.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the level of cruelty of not even acknowledging whether somebody is dead or alive.
Yeah.
And using that.
And the psychological warfare that has been inflicted on us.
It's all psychological warfare.
Yeah.
So, what's the level of evil and depravity not to tell somebody whether the family member is dead or alive for 15 months? They don't know what they're going to get back. They don't know in what state they're going to get back. They don't know if they've been tortured, raped, etc., as the previous batch did. So I just think people need to know that this is what we're dealing with. It's ugly, it's unpleasant, it's sad, it's disappointing, it's just everything together. But it's very real. Like, another friend of mine, my neighbor, one of his friends from childhood, he plays basketball with him. 35-year-old American guy. He's been there for 15 months. And again, these are like American, Israeli, Jewish, Christian, Muslims. And again, I think the international community and the world pushing and blackmailing Israel into a deal has terrible consequences, not just for Israel, but for the world. Because if and when it happens somewhere else, this is a blueprint.
Yeah.
This is a blueprint that can easily be replicated if tomorrow they start shooting and raping and kidnapping people from Coachella.
Yeah.
Are you going to get the president in America, you should sit on a table and sign some kind of like agreement so that, these people can keep doing this stuff in Florida? No, I mean, negotiating, sitting with these terrorists is so dangerous and so risky, and he sets the worst precedent. So, but again, at the same time, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. So the confliction is very, very real here. On a positive, the sun does shine. We've had a great week of weather.
We have had a great week. And it's happy, but this feeling really like clouds everything, and especially for the people I know, especially for those kids that when they leave Gaza, hopefully alive, they'll realize that they don't have grandparents, that their father was taken away, and also I also think the post is going to be also massively traumatic for the whole country. I don't even want to see how they come back. I don't want to see it. Like, everyone's gonna start like, are you dead? Are you alive? Have you been injured? Are you not? Are you like? Everything.
I don't even know how we tackle the trauma and how we rebuild with them. I don't know how we're going to do that. I don't.
Right. Again, one day at a time. If I have learned something, is that terrorism works. Terrorism works. It is very effective. It is a very powerful way to hijack a society, to grab everyone by the balls, to divide people internally, to turn them against their leaders, to kind of like thrive on people's desperation, because it's desperation, and people are desperate here. And also, the sad part is that a huge chunk of the world sided with terrorists.
Yeah.
And we're ready to blame Israel for everything and anything.
Yeah.
And with zero empathy.
Yeah.
From day one, from the get-go. And ready to peddle the lies about ethnic cleansing, genocide, apartheid, all the bullshit just literally went into like auto-tune. People that have never been here, people that don't know the country, people that don't know the people that don't have skin in the game, people that don't know people that are kidnapped. So, we might have to hand out 1,000 terrorists to get our humanity back, but it's never going to be a great deal.
No.
So terrorism works.
Yeah.
It does, and it's effective, and it worked for Osama bin Laden, and it works for Hamas, and it worked for the terror attacks in London of 7/7 in Madrid. It's still an effective way to to create civil unrest, to divide
yeah.
populations, and of course always with a facade of social justice and resistance, freedom, you know, free Palestine. I always say it's like, okay, that's the moment you start digging an inch deeper, I'm like, okay, so when you say free Palestine, what do you actually mean? What does that vision of freedom look like? Are women going to be more free in your free Palestine?
Yeah.
Is it going to be the first Arab state where women can get an abortion? Are LGBTQ people going to be freer in your free Palestine
and not
when
lynched,
it's run?
and not lynched?
Is it going to be the first Arab democracy in the Middle East? So tell me, when you scream these slogans, what does the vision of it looks like, especially if you haven't been here, like, you know, or is it going to be like more like Afghanistan, where girls cannot go to school and they're not allowed to show their faces? What do you think the consequences of your freedom banner are? And the moment you start scratching, people are like, well, you know, listen, I just want freedom. I just want peace. I just want ceasefire. I just want to stop the war. And I get it.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about anything, and you just keep seeing horrific images on your news. So, like, I get that that's kind of like the simplistic stuff.
Yeah.
But the moment you kind of like question anyone into like, what does that vision of freedom? Is it free from Jews from the river to the sea? Or is it freedom
and then,
for like
and then what do you do
and...
in this place when it's from the river to the sea? Do you make it with where every woman is wearing
that's what
a
I mean.
burqa? Or do you want what we have here?
Exactly. Afghanistan 2.0.
What is it? Yeah.
You basically cheering for people that want to build an Taliban state 2.0. So, you know, careful what you wish for. And on that note, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll have like more uplifting chats.
Yes, we really hope to have some good news or something positive for our next one.
Good. See you. Thank you.
Take care.